Howdy, friends. It's time we sat down and had a little chat about what the outcome of this election really represents. And it has to do with the reflection of American culture in the Tangerine Tyrant and his cult of followers, that they reflect something. His election reflects something about American culture and American society, and it's not good. It's this mirror that we can look into and see, what does America see in itself. And the first thing is this deep-seated narcissism of the American culture, this fundamental belief that America is the greatest country on the planet and there's no arguing otherwise, not with Americans. Like, we're number one in only one thing, and that's percentage of incarcerated citizens. Anything else we claim to be number one in is money related, like defense spending or GDP, and like even the people who would point to that would acknowledge the trouble of inflation, and so they're almost acknowledging that money is a construct of human nature or of humanity, and we can just inflate the value of our currency. So like money related metrics don't matter in this regard. We're number one in only one thing: incarcerated citizens. But we have this fundamental desire to believe that we are the greatest country on the planet, and that narcissism is reflected in Agent Orange. We see that obsession with America being number one, being the best, and then him insisting that he's the best at all the things. That narcissism is justified then when a candidate like him becomes the president-elect. And by extension, that narcissism goes into this like fundamental desire to ignore expert advice. Americans cannot stand the idea that there are experts out there that know more than them about a thing. And when that expert advice contradicts what their limited understanding of the thing might suggest, they want to ignore it. It is, as Isaac Asimov once said, there is this cult of anti-intellectualism that winds its way through our political and social life, giving rise to the false belief that somehow freedom means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. So when all of these cabinet members of the Clementine Caligula's first term come out and say he's a terrible person and does not belong in office, Americans almost take that as an endorsement. It justifies this desire to ignore the experts. And by extension from that, it justifies his criminality. The criminal nature of this human being who is convicted of these many crimes, who is liable for sexual assault, who is by all rights a terrible person. But Americans see it as this like rebelliousness. They want to see him as the rebel and the underdog, that he's constantly under attack by the man. And they want to support his fight against the man, right? That's how they want to see it. And it's all sourced in this American narcissism. So electing him justifies their belief that his criminality isn't real. They want to play it off as like corruption or something, because they just want to believe that the narcissism is acceptable. And beyond that, it takes us into this reality of American prejudice. Americans fundamentally fear that which looks different than them, thinks differently than them, and behaves differently than them. And to see a political candidate like the Tangerine Tyrant loudly and proudly display his prejudices, it again justifies their own. And the only way we can combat this, my friends, is to take America back. First, we have to start with the symbology and iconography of America and associate it with the liberal ideals that it should be associated with. America only stands for what we want it to stand for if we make it. We have to utilize these symbols in support of our ideals, otherwise it becomes theirs. The only way for us to move forward is together. So join me, my friends, moving forward together. Shop the link in bio. and loudly and proudly display what America is supposed to stand for. And stay woke, patriots.